Knife crime in the UK is at an all-time high, especially in London. The Office for National Statistics have recorded some crazy numbers, disturbing numbers. I'm not really going to talk about the numbers. I more just want to talk about how we're going to tackle these problems and how we're going to help these kids, because it's getting out of hand, if you ask me. And we have to start from the home. We really have to start from the home. These kids nowadays, they're not being brought up right. They're not being taught good morals and ethics. The fundamentals are not there for these kids. That's why they're going out there and acting crazy. We're living in a generation where single parenthood is no longer frowned upon. Matter of fact, it's in a trend. People are just having kids willy-nilly nowadays. Back in the days, we had the nuclear family, your basic social unit. You know, the mother was there for the nurturing, the father was there for the discipline. But now, all that is no longer there, especially in the working class and the lower classes. I don't think the middle class and the upper class have this problem. I don't think so. Because when you look in the prison system, like over 90% or over 80%, a major percentage of them are from the impoverished backgrounds, like working classes. Do you know what I'm saying? So there's a reason why this is happening. And these kids need to be taught right and wrong from the home. If these people are just, I don't understand. I know we live in London. It's a very expensive city, and a lot of single parents got to work hard to make ends meet, pay the rent, pay the bills and all that. I fully understand that. But what would you rather, think about this really cleverly. What would you rather do? Would you rather make sure your boss is impressed with you, or make sure your kid has a bright future? Like, I'm not sorry, it's not like a predicament. Like, for me, if I had a kid, and I feel like in this day and age that we're living in London, they could be getting in problems, I'm gonna take extra cares. I don't want my child stabbed. I don't want nothing bad happening to them out there. I'm gonna take extra care, maybe call family members, friends, to make sure when I'm not around, they are taken care of. But it seems to me that the focus in this focus nowadays is more about the bills and all sorts of things. So people might think that point is unfair, but I think the children are more important. They are the future of the generation. They are the future. We need to give more care and attention to them. People are literally just having kids nowadays without no regards. And these kids are not being taught anything at all. This brings me to my next point. The government needs to introduce some sort of like a compulsory parenting class for new parents, because I don't feel like that people have the tools to be parents. That's why these kids are just being brought up anyhow. The government needs to maybe help these parents in giving them whatever tools they need to raise up their kids. I'm talking about single parent households. That's what I'm talking about. The community needs to do what they need to do. The community needs to also have a hand in helping these kids. The police, the hospital systems, the schools, you know, the teachers, all these people will need to have a hand in it. We can't just neglect them. Even when I see reports of stabbings in the news, the way we talk about these kids, it's almost like they can't be saved no more. They can be saved. They're not animal. They're kids. They have brains. They can be, and their thought patterns can be changed. That's another thing as well. A lot of these kids, they've never really come out of this environment they live in. Like, we need to show them in the schools. We need to show them different. We need to tell them they can have better ambitions and aspirations, rather than them leading themselves down a road where literally it's very bleak. We need to show them they have hope. We're not showing them that. We're abandoning them. We live in London, yeah, which is where most of this is the worst, the stabbings, yeah. And it's like a lot of these kids, you could literally have an estate, and then there's like a multi-million-pound houses just literally meters away from that estate. A lot of these kids, they see these things. They see like these fancy cars, and they feel like they can't aspire to get these things. Not legally. The only people they see in their community getting these things are drug dealers. Hence why they more go towards that culture. We need to show them different. They see the drug dealers, they see them with their fancy stuff, but do they know how it all ends? We're also living in a times where like movies are violent, music is violent, videos are violent, console games are violent. The whole culture is violent. You see viral videos on social networks nowadays. It's all violence, and we've become desensitized to this stuff. And these kids, they all have phones. They see these things. How do you expect them to react? Back in the days when I was growing up, when we was watching television, we had the watershed moment. Watershed, where we wasn't allowed to watch TV past 9 o'clock. These kids, they're growing up a lot faster than they should. They're seeing things that, whether that watershed still exists on television or not, we have social media now. There is no filter on social media or the internet. They see all sorts of crazy things. Now, how do you expect for these young people's brains to contemplate what they're seeing, especially when they're growing up in violent and aggressive backgrounds? Do you know what I'm saying? So we need to look at all these things, and we really need to help these kids rather than push them away and feel like they can't be helped ever again. We need to look at our society that we live in, and each parent needs to grab their child, and rather than blame the government cuts and all that, because we can all blame people and blame that, but essentially it's your child is up to you. What you eat don't make me shit. Your child is in your household, so you have to guide them. And I know these kids can go out and get they can go out and they'll see things and all that. I understand that, but if you teach them really good lessons, because I was a child, we all were children once. I went down the wrong road, but because I was taught real good lessons, I didn't stab no one. I've never stabbed no one in my life. That's why these kids have no regard for life at all. They need to be taught right from wrong, which I don't think they know. They don't know they're taking a life. A whole life. That's a very, very serious thing, you know. I'm not going to go too much into this topic. I want to know what you lot think about it. There's other points I want to touch on as well, but I can't think of right now. I'll make another video about this, because unless this knife crime stops, I got a feeling I'm going to be making another video on it very, very soon. Do you know what I'm saying? Let me know how you feel on the topic. Leave your comments underneath. Share the video if you like it. It's Fred Stones, back again.